Mr. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Donald. Well, yes, it's all about Donald Trump. It's the midterm elections in the USA. Now, I don't know about you, but previously, unless you're really into politics, you'd barely have known anything about previous midterms. But as it's Donald Trump, we've been talking about it quite a lot. Now, Trump had a slight premonition, I think, of how this election might go.
They will try to erase our gains and eradicate our progress. That's what's going to happen. They're going to work hard. And we will be fighting. Oh, it will be ridiculous, frankly. It'll be bad for our country. The Democrats, and it could happen. We're doing very well, and we're doing really well in the Senate, but could happen. And you know what you do? My whole life. You know what I say? Don't worry about it. I'll just figure it out.
So there was Trump a few days before saying, hey, you know what? We could lose the House, but we're doing pretty well in the Senate. And that is how it turned out. The Democrat Party, remember, there are 435 seats in the House of Representatives. The Democrats have made gains of about 28. They now have quite a small majority of 10 in the Senate, and there are a couple of races still to be decided, but it looks like he's gained about 3 seats in the Senate. And the big takeaway for Trump is that they've held the governorships of Georgia and Florida, which were 2 seats that the Democrats were quite confident they would take. So Trump is pretty happy because history says that in the midterm elections, the sitting president, whatever colour, whether they're red, which in the case of America is the Republicans, or blue, which is the Democrats, and there'd been a predicted blue wave, which simply hasn't happened. And so Trump tweeted out, "Tremendous success tonight. Thank you to all." He then went on to say, "To any of the pundits or talking heads that do not give us proper credit for this great midterm election, just remember 2 words, fake news." And as we speak, Mr. Trump is on his feet in the White House doing a press conference. I've never seen him looking so tired, and yet he's been up on his feet for over an hour. And we'll talk a little bit about that press conference and a slight clash with CNN, shall we say, later on in the hour. Now, the Democrats clearly will be happy to have got a majority in the House, but overall, I suspect, at least this is my view, they'll be disappointed not to have picked up more governorships, disappointed to have made losses in the Senate the way that they have. And sure, Nancy Pelosi is going to be the Democrat Speaker in the House of Representatives. But I think overall, my view, folks, is that what Trump has done is against the tide of history. He's come out pretty much unscathed. Sure, they could make life difficult for him. Getting legislation through could be tricky. But overall, he's come out pretty well. So tell me what you think. From what you've seen and heard, who were the winners and who were the losers for you in these midterms? And happy to hear from you wherever you are, particularly keen, if you're in the USA, to give us your impression from there. So if you think the Democrats are on the up and Trump is now on the down, call 0345 6060 973. Or maybe you think, in many ways, looking ahead to 2020, Trump is now stronger than ever and very much in charge of the Republican Party. Text to 84850. Or maybe you think, do you know what, there's nothing in it. It's basically a score draw. That's how you feel. Tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC, at LBC, and of course watch us on Facebook. We're here in London. So, did Trump have a good night? Who were the winners? Who were the losers? I get on Twitter, Trump could walk out of this presser at any time he wants. Despite how incredibly insane and inept he sounds, he's actually enjoying it, and he thinks he looks good, is what I get on Twitter. And I say we will come to the confrontation a little bit later on in the hour. David from London says by text, the winner was Donald Trump and the losers were the biased media. Had the reporting been balanced, then Donald would have made history with a landslide victory. Well, look, David, most mainstream media in America is never going to be on Donald Trump's side. Trump is by far the most humble, eloquent and inclusive US president in living memory. Long live the Don, says Raymond from Wickford. Raymond, I'm a Donald Trump fan. I'm not sure that even I could stretch to saying humble. He's not humble. He's very, very proud of who he is and what he does. Nigel, the losers of the USA, having to put up with this terrible, divisive president. Shame he didn't lose the Senate too. Just been watching his disgraceful press conference. Hardly presidential, says Tim. Tim, there is nothing that Trump does that is conventional. Charles from Bagshot's on the line. Charles, who did you reckon was the winner from this yesterday?
I'm going to surprise people and say Donald Trump. And hear me out. Nancy Pelosi is a gift.
Yep, go on.
She's going to be a gift in the Congress. The Democrats, well, firstly, unlike the Democrats, when the Republicans lose, we don't start riots, we don't start threatening people, we don't start recounts. So I think he's been, right, we'll get on with it, move on, and there's one distinction right there. But all throughout this Congress, all they're going to be doing is, can we try and impeach Trump, And you know what, and that's going to go nowhere. But you know what he should do? Do you remember, you've been around the block like me, Nigel.
I know. There's no denying it, Charles.
Yeah, but anyway, you remember Tip O'Neill, don't you?
Yep.
Speaker of the Congress when Ronald Reagan was president. There will be no Reagan tax cut over my dead body. Mm-hmm. So what Reagan did, he said, right, I'll go to your congressional districts and he'll talk directly to the American people.
Yep.
And he said to them, write to your congressman or woman, write to them. Test them, say, I want this tax cut. And that's what Donald Trump needs to do. He needs to put pressure on these congressional leaders by going straight to the American people. And that's what he's brilliant at. And I tell you what, it's going to be... This is sort of like they either had to win the Senate, because to impeach Trump you've got to get a 60
Well, you've got to get two. I mean, look, the impeachment process means that what happens is the House votes to impeach, to basically put the president on trial, and then the Senate becomes the sort of court of the nation. And to remove a president, you'd need a 2/3 majority. That is literally impossible. And Charles, my guess is, if the Democrats were to try to impeach the president, they'd literally be mad, because they'd be playing directly into his hands for 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a time, you know, sometimes losing an election is a win. You're winning it.
Well, he hasn't really lost it, has he? I mean, he's lost seats in one house, gained seats in the other.
Yeah.
It kind of, on the numbers, Charles, on the numbers, you could argue it's a score draw. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
But historically, presidents in the midterms normally do quite a lot worse than this.
Oh, yes. And when you consider he's been bombarded daily by Trump as a Nazi, Trump as a racist, this, that, constantly. They're digging up as much as they can on it. It reminds me of that racehorse for the Australia called the Far Lap, and the Americans put lead weights on it to stop it running so fast. That's sort of what they're doing. They're trying to put
Charles, finally, do you think, after these results, that Trump looks good for 2020?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Charles,
absolutely.
Thank you. So Charles thinks Trump comes out as the winner. I think on balance he does too, because he's not been hurt anything like as badly as many thought was going to happen, including many parts of the British media. You know, I've seen all sorts of reports about what was happening in Texas and how Ted Cruz could lose his seat there. Of course, he didn't. Amar is calling from Oxford. Good evening to you.
Oh, good evening, yeah. Basically, going on from the last caller,
yep.
I basically think this election is played into Trump's hands very nicely, because what he'll do now is just blame the Democrats for everything, and come 2020 he'll be able to say, look, well, they're stopping me from doing what I need to do, and ultimately the country's suffering. So I think he'll win again in 2020.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the more they try to obstruct in the lower house, the more he will bellow to the nation, look, they're stopping us getting on, delivering results for you. So I think it puts the Democrats, with this wafer-thin majority, in a very difficult position, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed. And let's talk about him being impeached. Well, he won't be impeached because it has to go through the Senate. and that's controlled by the Republicans anyway. So that's
it's a non-starter. Thank you for your call. Typical Trump, I get by text. Even when he loses stroke draws, he tells it like he's won, says Luke. Well, Luke, in an historical sense, I think he probably has, and Rick on Twitter points out, historically, only 2 presidents in the history of the USA have held on to the lower house during the midterms. Trump came very close to that win for the Donald, and I have to say, I think that's right. I think against the tide of history, he's had a very good night, whether you want to hear that, folks, or not. Neil is calling from Manchester. Good evening, Neil.
How do you do? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, and everyone knows that I'm a Trump supporter, and I think he's had a very good evening.
Yeah, I think he's done brilliantly. And one thing I'd like to say is that his delivery is such a breath of fresh air when you listen to the likes of your Macrons and Theresa May's of these world who just give out some sort of civil service drivel. He's actually just out there winging it a lot of the time. And,
but Neil, that's what people object to, Neil.
But he's talking straight from his heart. He's just telling it exactly like it is, and that's why he's got such curb appeal out there with the voters, and none of the Democrats can get their heads around it.
Do you understand, Neil, why the way he speaks, his delivery, also upsets quite a lot of people?
Of course it does, but he knows exactly what he's doing. I heard the reportage on the CNN reporter, and he was listening to what he said, but he was also saying, you've had your minute, you've had your question. Now please sit down. And what's wrong with that? I mean, that's what everybody else.
Well, Neil, I kind of get that point. Neil, thank you. I guess it's just a question of the way that he does things. Now, he was asked not long ago about these things and about what regrets he had, and I guess tone is a very, very important thing. And in a moment, we're going to discuss Donald Trump's tone and what happened at this press conference, which, folks, is still going on. It's been going on for over an hour. He looks incredibly tired, but clearly he's enjoying himself. More of Trump in a moment, but for now, you're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. It's 6:15 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
President Trump's warned his Democrat rivals that if they threaten him with legal investigations now that they control the House of Representatives, then he'll do the same to them and the US government will come to a halt. The judge who's jailed 2 takeaway managers over the death of a teenage girl in Lancashire has warned food businesses could face tougher sentences if no action's taken to manage allergies. A 98-year-old man's in a life-threatening condition in hospital after being attacked and robbed in his home in North London. LBC weather mainly dry tonight with light winds and a frost in many places, rain arriving over the far west later, a low of 3 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Jay Louise Knight, and the disruption continues on the London Underground due to the strike. No Central Line at all, and no Waterloo and City Line either. Onto the roads, the clockwise M25 has delays of well over an hour towards an accident before 23 for South Mims. 2 lanes are shut at the scene. An accident on the M1 earlier has left delays from Edgware at 4 all the way up to Redbourne at 9. It's slow around Wembley, where an accident shut the A404 eastbound at Bridgewater Road, and a serious accident in Richmond has closed the A316 going east from Richmond Circus to Manor Circus.
This is LBC.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade quality building products. In November, we've got a Bosch single fan oven for just £219.95 ex VAT. Now that's a real deal. We've got even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse. For more information, see selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
If you want to succeed, don't just dream. Make your mark. Make some noise. Make a name for yourself. Make your idea real. And the best way to start? Make your own website. With GoDaddy Website Builder, you can build your own website in under an hour. Just type in your idea, choose a template and publish, even from your mobile phone. That's how you make your idea a reality. Start making your own way. Try Website Builder for free at godaddy.co.uk.
Your business has come this far, but now's your time to soar into the skies of spectacular with a fast, affordable Funding Circle business loan. With decisions in as little as 24 hours and a dedicated account manager, there's no waiting around. So join the thousands of businesses who have taken out a Funding Circle loan and help your business fly. Apply today at fundingcircle.com. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. T's and C's apply.
Make Christmas a little special with a pouch of celebrations, just $2.99. A tub of Nestle Quality Street for $3.99. Individually wrapped chocolates, ideal for sharing. Or not. Lidl. Big on quality, little on price. Subject to availability. Selected stores excludes NI.
I'm Peter Jones, and I've been using Sage to help me manage my businesses since I was 19. Now, Sage Business Cloud helps me manage everything from money to people. Sage technology and support means making tax digital is really simple. So when people ask me, what's the secret of your success? I say it's about making wise choices. It's about being Sage.
Be ready for making tax digital today with Sage Business Cloud. Go to sage.com/MTD.
Whatever business demands, we deliver. When you need your staff connected, we deliver the new Transit Custom with voice control technology on the optional Sync 3 system. When you want a better deal, we deliver a £500 customer saving when you buy a new Ford commercial vehicle after taking a test drive. Only at the Transit Show live event, 3rd to the 18th of November at your nearest participating Ford dealer. Ford. Together, we go further.
Selected models only. Customer saving excluding 20% VAT off the recommended retail price. Contract from 3rd to 19th of November. Registered by 31st of March 2019. T's and C's apply. See ford.co.uk/Transit Show Live.
This is LBC, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
It was a rough old campaign. In many ways, these midterms were a referendum on Donald Trump himself. He, of course, tried to make immigration the big issue, namely the caravan coming up through Mexico, sending troops to the border, putting up barbed wire. And, you know, if you touch on issues like that, you're going to get roundly attacked for doing so. He even had one of his campaign videos banned by all the major broadcasters on the grounds of taste. Now, he was asked earlier this week in a television interview whether he had any regrets or whether he'd have done anything differently in his first 2 years as president.
Well, there would be certain things. I'm not sure I want to reveal all of them, but I would say tone. I would like to have a much softer tone. I feel to a certain extent I have no choice, but maybe I do, and maybe I could have been softer from that standpoint, but I want to get things done. We've had tremendous victories on trade. We've had tremendous victories on so many different things. On our military, you look at what we've done with rebuilding the military, but I would say if there's anything, I think tone would be perhaps something. I'm not sure that if I did that, maybe I'd be swamped. Okay, you know, swamped meaning with the other side, because I wouldn't say their tone's been so nice either. But that would be something I would say that I'll be working on.
So tone, a softer tone, a new, cuddly, fluffy Donald Trump is almost what he was telling us. Well, he's still on his feet at this press conference. He's now been going for over an hour and 20 minutes. I have to say, for the first 35, 40 minutes, I mean, he was very, very tired indeed. And one or two things were a little bit repetitive, and I thought, why on earth is he putting himself through this? Yet he's still up there. He seems to be enjoying it. But there was a moment in this interview when his absolute number one, top of the pops, favourite news network, CNN, who, of course, you know, he accuses constantly of being fake news. There was a moment there when the guy from CNN got up to start to ask a question. And let's see how you think he's doing with this new, softer tone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms. That
here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election to try to keep...
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign...
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Right. But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual. It happened.
If you love Trump, this is great. If you don't, just start driving a bit more slowly, please.
They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN, and if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big
the rest
fan
of
of yours either, so
I understand.
to be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. You repeatedly said...
You aren't the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course of the...
Okay, just sit down, please.
What can you say? I mean, either you laugh at it or you're appalled by it. But I think, folks, any attempt at the softer tone is going to be a complete, total and utter waste of time. He's just finished, so that's, by my calculations, getting on for an hour and a half that he's been up there doing that press conference. None of the rest of it was quite as exciting as that bit with CNN. But yeah, look, old dogs and new tricks. He's not going to change. He does politics his way. And keen to hear your comments too, not just on who were the winners or losers, but what do you think of Trump's new softer tone? 0345 6060973. Carl is a new caller from Islington. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am well. So, who were the winners? Who were the losers, or none?
I think Trump. I think Trump won personally.
Yeah, go on.
I think Trump won because now with the Democrats, that they will block a lot of his the things that he wants to do. It will show the American people that maybe his initial approach, and admittedly, it's for someone, it isn't for others, but he has got their greater faults and needs at heart, and I think these guys that will filibuster it all, I think it will only help him become re-elected in 2020, and so that's why I think he is the winner of this mid-election.
Yeah, and there are things he can do with executive orders, Carl, aren't there too?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, because I believe Obama was quite famous for doing that in his last term. And I think he had the most executive orders, didn't he? So, or one of them.
Yeah,
at least,
and I mean, obviously they can be challenged legally, but kind of once you've done them, you've done them. If they're not legislative, then I think that maybe that's what Trump will do. Carl, do you think the Democrats will obstruct? Will perhaps even try and push for impeachment, or would it be a real act of political self-harm to do so?
I think it'd be a political self-harm. However, I do think they're going to go after his tax returns and
yes,
and so forth. I do think they're going to look far more into this, or what this Russian hoax, as he calls it. I do think they'll look into that. However, I think there's a lot that he can do that would scupper them, in the sense of possibly the Benghazi thing and bringing up leaks and so forth, and all of their misdemeanors. So I think he can do many things to hurt them as well. So I don't think it would actually benefit many people, or the American people, all of this here, and it seems to me a total waste of energy on their behalf to go to Congress, and it seems to be all of their faults are to scupper him rather than
well, he calls the Russia thing a hoax, and I quite understand why. Carl, we had in this country speeches in Parliament, articles in newspapers about Cambridge Analytica. Do you remember how they could have been harvesting data and doing extraordinary things, and they could have twisted the referendum? And yesterday the Information Commissioner reports and says they had no engagement, no involvement whatsoever. So I think when he talks about hoaxes, he's got a point. Carl, you make some very good points. Max from Grays says the real winner in these midterms is Trump's hairdresser. 6 more years. Sam is less impressed by this press conference, and he says, I've been listening to Trump's conference. What a load of tripe he speaks. Well, Sam, maybe, but some of us find it really rather amusing and entertaining. I love... Yeah, there we are. Michael thinks differently. I love Trump's direct style, and it's time the press stopped being hostile political activists and started reporting facts. Good for him. Michael, it was even the BBC last year who said that given that the Democrats simply don't have any leadership, elements of the mainstream media have now in fact become the opposition in American politics. And I think actually that's what CNN and the New York Times are doing. They are providing opposition because the Democrats simply don't have leadership. And think about it. They had to get Obama out of retirement to lead their campaign over the course of the last week. On Facebook, Lorraine says, the Dems are going to put up blocks against Trump constantly, just as Remainers try with Brexit. Lorraine, you're probably right, but if they're seen to obstruct too much, I think it'll play to his advantage in 2020. That's my feeling. Tom says on Facebook, the winner is Trump, no other. He will only gain support. Well, so far, most of you seem to think that Trump is the winner. That's certainly my view too. Nathaniel is calling from Blackheath. Good evening, Nathaniel.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm well. So what's your analysis?
Well, I've just watched that press conference.
Yep.
That was probably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
It was pretty extraordinary stuff, wasn't it? I mean, why? He didn't need to do it. All he needed to do was give a 10-minute speech, do a couple of questions, and that would have been fine. And did he
I agree.
I don't know why he did it.
No, I agree. As in, like, the way he shut down the guy from CNN is disgusting. Because what I find the funniest is that people like yourself on the right, they laugh about that kind of thing, but then they also shout about free speech every minute of every day. And that was what that CNN reporter was doing, and yet Donald Trump was trying
I think, Nathaniel, what we're really bored with are constant baseless accusations being thrown again and again and again, which in the end proved to be untrue. Maybe that's what some of us are getting a bit bored with.
It also works on the other side. I think you're also very bored of stuff that actually proves stuff right.
No, listen, if stuff is proved right, that's fine. But very similarly...
But you don't listen to it, though, do you? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, the way that this midterms has gone is that the way that this is being, the thing around the world, it's being noticed as something completely different apart from what you're doing right now on your radio show. He is a lame-duck president now. He's lost the House. The problem with that is that his policies and what he wants to do are so ridiculous,
right,
that he cannot get those through the House. Because at the end of the day, if he wants to build a wall, this wall is the one he's looking for funding. He wants to do it all in one way.
He'll struggle with that. I agree with that.
And this is the wall that he wants Mexico to pay for. That's not going to happen. He's also suffers, and he's also claimed to be a saint on top of like pro-abortion and I know the way to do that and everything like that. He mentioned that in his press conference. Of course, that's not going to happen because it's otherwise going to be the far right on the Christian right, or the left that actually believes in women should make their own choices.
Again, let me just ask you something.
You can't do that.
Let's just...
Calm down, Nigel.
Nathaniel, I'm going to ask you very quickly, does he look stronger or weaker for 2020?
Everything needs to happen through the House. His policies are stupid and ridiculous. So 2020, this is a sign of things to come. The man can't come back in 2020. He has lost the House. He is a sitting duck, a lame duck president.
Nathaniel says he's a lame duck president because he can't get legislation through. That may well be right, but does it make a difference for 2020? I very much doubt it. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show, exclusively on LBC at 6:31 on Time for the News with Lisa Aziz.
President Trump's just finished addressing reporters at the White House after an hour and a half hailing historic US midterm election results. He praised Republican candidates, saying they achieved tremendous success in gaining more control of the Senate despite losing their hold on the House of Representatives. But he's also warned Democrats that if they now start to flood him with subpoenas, then he'll do the same thing back. The judge, who's jailed 2 takeaway managers for a total of 5 years over the death of a teenage girl, has warned food businesses could face tougher sentences if no action's taken to manage allergies. 15-year-old Megan Lee, who was allergic to nuts, died after eating food from the Royal Spice in Oswald Twizzle in Lancashire in 2016. Ryanair passengers aren't able to check in online or make bookings on its website until until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. The airline's taking its systems down for 12 hours for an upgrade, while customers checking in at the airport have to pay £55. LBC weather mainly dry and clear tonight with light winds and a frost in many places. Rain arriving over the far west Wales and Northern Ireland later, a low of 3 degrees.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. LBC.
Questioning the Prime Minister's actions. She's tweeted that a video showing an effigy of Grenfell Tower being burnt while Guy Fawkes revellers laughed was, quote, utterly unacceptable. Was her comment on the fact that 5 young men have been fatally stabbed in London in a week? Why no comment from Mrs. Mayor? Could it be that she was the buffoon who stood down Stop and Search that many police commentators, nay experts, say has actually led to this explosion?
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 7. LBC.
Little Red Riding Hood has been trying to sell her grandma's home for some time now, but the estate agent's shiny, sharp teeth have left her with sweat on her brow.
Trust me, darling, I just want what's best for you, hence the added fees.
However, she spoke to the friendly team at Property Rescue, who cut out the middleman and guaranteed a sale in as little as 48 hours with no fees whatsoever. Fast forward to living happily ever after. Visit propertyrescue.co.uk. Property Rescue. Fast forward to sold.
Dad, I only got one question on my homework wrong. It was one you helped me with.
Oh, really?
It wasn't the World Cup in 1066. It was the Battle of Hastings.
At Boots Opticians, our team of optometrists are here to help you see things clearly. So, if like millions of others you're struggling to see close up, book your eye test in-store or at boots.com today. Boots Opticians, let's feel good. Customers eligible for a free eye test courtesy of the NHS may still be charged for eye tests carried out before the next recommended due date.
Many dentists refer their own patients onto Darwood and Tanner.
My name is Dr. Mark Kent. I'm a general dental practitioner practicing in a North London suburb. Darwood and Tanner have become my preferred referral practice. I feel that Dr. Andrew Darwood can provide the highest level of implant surgery that is available, together with giving my patients the option of alternative specialist treatments.
Download your information pack today. Search Darwood and Tanner. Your smile is our healthy obsession.
There's only one way to take afternoon tea, with fresh scones, clotted cream, damson jam, and finger sandwiches. There's only one way to serve a Manhattan, with rye whiskey, sweet red vermouth, and Angostura bitters. And there's only one way to sail transatlantic, on the world's only ocean liner, Queen Mary 2. With a thrilling arrival past the Statue of Liberty into the city that never sleeps. Yes, there's only one way to sail transatlantic, yet so many possibilities on board. With Cunard.
Bathroom brimming with bottles? Transform it with B&Q. Our stylish grey Amandra bathroom furniture starts from just £55. It's modular storage, great for awkward spaces, and has a 10-year guarantee. So for brilliant bathroom products at everyday low prices, you can do it when you B&Q it. Full guarantee terms and conditions, see DIY.com.
Okay, you babes of jazz, let's pick up the pace. Let's shake the blues away. Let's keep it hot.
The town with a night of thrills, dance, razzle-dazzle, and all that jazz. Chicago the Musical at the Phoenix Theater. Final weeks to see Chicago the Musical at the Phoenix Theater.
The Nigel Farage Show on LBC.
Trump loses the House of Representatives, gains seats in the Senate, stays with a couple of senatorial seats that perhaps he could have lost. And on balance, I would say he's come out of it historically pretty well. If you look at Obama, I get here, Trump did better than Obama in his first midterm. For that reason, I believe the Republicans have won the midterms. Yeah, Obama lost 63 seats in his first midterm. So, as I said, in historical terms, he's done pretty well. That's my view. Meanwhile, Brexit is being discussed and negotiated behind closed doors, cabinet meetings, a lot happening in 10 Downing Street. The cabinet seeing much of the withdrawal agreement over the last couple of days, and a leaked document suggesting how Number 10 intends to sell this to the country. The idea is to claim that it's been a measured success, that it'll be good for everybody, rather than a victory with champagne corks popping, and ideas about major speeches, big interviews. Okay. The only thing we haven't agreed, apparently, is to do with Northern Ireland. Either way, I suspect we're going to see a significant climb down, massive climb down, from what we heard from her Lancaster House speech and indeed from what was in the Conservative Party manifesto. And the big question will be, ultimately, is the House of Commons going to back it? And at some point in the next couple of months, we will find out. But let's get back to Trump. Let's get back to this referendum on his presidency and who the winners and losers were yesterday. Will is calling from Evesham. Will, what do you make of it?
Hi, good evening, Nigel. Well, I think the clear winner is America. Nancy Pelosi said, checks and balances. Trump is, he's a disgrace. I think that's the only way to describe it. And I think the fact that you played his clip there and you thought that was funny illustrates that. I agree absolutely with your previous call. America stands up for freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. Trump does not like freedom of speech. For you to suggest that CNN is the opposition, let's just remind ourselves.
No, Will, I'm not suggesting it. I told you the BBC suggested it.
Hang on, Nigel.
All right. So the BBC think they're the opposition.
You come in when I'm finished. Can I just say what I'm going to before you jump in? Is that okay?
Well, I just thought I'd point out to you the facts.
So let me just finish. So Trump is the only president in history to take reporters, as in Fox News, on his campaign trail. He doesn't speak to the press. He doesn't have press conferences. He just speaks to Fox News, his propaganda channel. This is a man, let's just remind ourselves as well, people were murdered during this campaign. Murdered. All right? Why was that, Nigel? Because of the hate this man has developed.
No, Will, really, I'm sorry, that is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, really?
I do not think the rise of anti-Semitism across the West has anything to do with Trump, who was. Will. This man has been pro-Israel.
Hang on, Nigel. Let's look at the facts.
Pro-Jewish.
Hang on, Nigel, let's look at some of the material that the Republican Party had produced during the campaign. Clearly anti-Semitic. Check your facts.
Well,
your facts,
I know his son-in-law quite well, who is a practicing Jew. I know Trump himself has terrific links with the Jewish community. He is a firm advocate of Israel. And to call Trump anti-Semitic, well, you can say what you want, but I just don't think that sticks in any way at all.
And yet, during the campaign, the Republican Party were producing material that was clearly anti-Semitic.
Well, I disagree with that. Well, Nancy Pelosi talks about checks and balances, and actually, the whole US Constitution was set up to do this.
Absolutely.
And almost every single midterm goes against the incumbent president, regardless whether they are Republican or a Democrat. The argument that I'm making is, if you look at this in numerical terms, he's done, for a sitting president, remarkably well.
Well, really, look.
Yeah, really.
America's more divided now than it's been in pretty much in its history. Yeah, look at his reputation for free speech, for standing up for American values. They have gone. This man has trashed America like nobody else.
Well, I tell you what, Will, and I'm going to repeat this point very quickly and then move on. CNN are the opposition because actually the Democrats have not been a functional unit. Now, it could be that now that someone like Nancy Pelosi has a senior position, that she rises to the top of the party. But, up until yesterday, if I'd said to you, who is the leading voice for the Democrats in America, Will, you could not have given me an answer, because there simply isn't one. So I think CNN have filled that role, and they're at war with the president, but maybe he's just got a bit bored with some of their conspiracy theories. Will and I take a different point of view. That's fine. I'm off to the Channel Islands, to Guernsey, to speak to Madeline, who's a new caller. Good evening, Madeline.
Good evening. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I was in America recently, and I caught Trump a couple of his rallies on television, and I think he came across really, really well, almost homespun, which is an American word. And I just really liked him. And I was in a lift in a hotel, and two ladies said to me, "Oh, you're English. We really want to apologise for our president." And I said, "Why?" I said, "I'm not American. It doesn't concern me." And they said, "Oh, well, you might like him." And I said, "Well, actually, yes, I do." So, cue stunned silence. But I think this midterm thing yesterday, I'm not too up on American politics, but I think it was not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. And I echo what you just said earlier. I mean, compared with other like Obama and other presidents who did really well.
Yeah, no, Madeline, I agree. Thank you. Where he did suffer a bit was in suburbia. Middle-class, comfortable suburbia. And I do actually think that it's in some of those areas where, tone perhaps does upset a few people. It's sort of constant drama. And I'll predict this. I'll predict that in these last couple of years, you will see Trump promote a lot more women to very senior positions within the cabinet and within the Republican Party. I think that's their slight concern, is middle-class women living in suburbia, finding some of this a little bit too dramatic. Messages galore. If Trump creates jobs for blue-collar America, he'll get re-elected, says Billy in Glasgow. Ronnie Reagan lost the House in 82, he sure did, and came back to win 2 years later, all but one of the states. Trump has very strong chances in 2020. Ben, I tell you what, if anybody gives me a good price, I'll put money on Trump to win in 2020. I'll do it right now. Would like to say, well done, Donald. Thank goodness some people can see past the media bias. In the US and the UK, roll on 2020. Barry from Burton. Let's go to Lewis, a new caller from Worcester. Good evening to you.
Hello, Nigel. You all right?
Good. Very well indeed, thanks, Louis. And you?
I'm very good, mate. Thank you. I'm a real fan of yours, so it's a...
Well, very kind of you. Now, what about America? Was it a good day for the Democrats? They're in control of the House.
Well, so first of all, let's be really clear, right? Trump, well, not in the conventional way, I suppose, but Trump won last night, okay? He really did.
Because?
First of all, the blue wave didn't materialise.
They're calling it a blue rinse now, I understand.
Yeah, a blue puddle sounds better to me, but yeah, first of all, let's be clear. Regardless of what happened last night, the blue wave did not happen.
Yep.
Everyone was saying it would. It didn't happen.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
There was that. And also, I think for me the main thing is that, yes, the Democrats did okay in the House, but they lost seats in the Senate, which was, it was really good for Trump. And I think the spot that the Democrats are in right now is, it's really difficult for them because they're in a lose-lose situation whereby if they help Trump, they're going against their own base who can't stand the man and basically want to see him impeached and think he's the embodiment of Hitler, okay? And then, if they don't help him, then
he says they're obstructing our country and
he's got ammunition for 2020.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. It will be fascinating to see what they do, but they do absolutely hate him, and so I think they will be very, very obstructionist. Thanks for the call, but I tell you what, if they push for impeachment, I think it'll backfire on them absolutely hugely. That's my view. You're listening to the Nigel Farage Show here on LBC. It's now 6:45 and time for the news headlines with Lisa Aziz.
President Trump's warned his Democratic rivals that if they threaten him with legal investigations now that they control the House of Representatives, then he'll do the same to them and the US government will come to a halt. The judge who's jailed 2 takeaway managers over the death of a teenage girl in Lancashire has warned food businesses could face tougher sentences if no action's taken to manage allergies. A 98-year-old man's in a life-threatening condition in hospital after being attacked and robbed in his house in North London. LBC weather mainly dry tonight with light winds and a frost in many places. Rain arriving over the far west, a low of 3 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Jay Louise Knight, and because of the strike on the Underground, there's still no service on the whole of the Central Line and the Waterloo and City Lines. They're expected to be up and running again as normal again tomorrow. On the trains, South Western are still warning of delays from Barnes to Clapham Junction, and Thameslink have delays from St Pancras to Blackfriars. Onto the roads, the clockwise M25, just getting reports of an accident before junction 12 at the M3. I can see queues on cameras back to Wisley at 10. Clockwise, there are still delays of around an hour and 20 towards an accident before South Mims at 23. The M1's heavy out of town from Edgware at 4 to Redbourne at 9, and the M20 is queuing eastbound from the M26 to an accident before junction 4 at Snodland.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Ian Dale.
4 journalists on Cross Question tonight: Bonnie Greer, Dia Chakravarti, Julia Langdon and Eve Pollard. Then at 9, should there be a tax on red meat? Is this a new battleground for the nanny state?
Ian Dale on LBC.
Where are we?
The New Forest.
But I thought we only had the Mini Countryman booked for a test drive. We can't stay here.
We're not going to.
This isn't exactly what I meant.
Relax. With Mini's new 48-hour test drive, you can use the Countryman for exactly what it's built for. Exploring. Plus, it's an SUV, the largest Mini in the range, so you can pack loads more in.
Great. Where next?
Well, you know how you've always wanted to try kayaking?
The Mini Countryman 48-hour test drive. Visit mini.co.uk to book yours. Mini. Who's in? Test drive subject to status and availability. Terms and conditions apply. Participating Mini retailers only.
Our husbands aren't coming back. They stole a lot of money. And now people want it from us.
Don't miss Widows, the swaggering supercharged crime epic from Academy Award-winning director Steve McQueen.
My husband left me the plans for his next job.
The Sunday Times says Widows is the finest filmmaking of the year.
All I need is a crew to pull it off.
Steve McQueen outguns Scorsese, says The Telegraph. 5 stars agrees the Evening Standard, The Telegraph, The Financial Times, The Observer, and The Sunday Times.
In this city, you reap what you sow. Let's hope so.
Widows, in cinemas now.
Divorce. It affects every part of your life. You, your family, your home, your finances. And if you're a man facing divorce, perhaps even one you don't want, the situation becomes even more complicated. It's at times like these that you need a professional you can trust. Cordell & Cordell is dedicated to helping men in matters relating to divorce. Call now on 0330 60 60 161 or visit cordell.co.uk, office in central London. A partner men can count on.
Sorry, Mrs. Mills. Your boiler needs replacing.
Oh no, what would you recommend?
Well, I see you've got a Bosch washing machine.
Yes, it's never let me down.
Exactly. I'd recommend a Worcester Bosch Green Star 29 CDI. It's really reliable and it's been awarded a Best Buy from Which. And with a Bosch Easy Control, you can even adjust the heating from your phone. So simple, your cat could do it. To find your new boiler, a local installer, and receive up to a 10-year guarantee, search warm as Worcester.
Ah, the great British roast. Where mobiles are set aside, the TV goes off, the family comes together, and everything stops. For the perfect roast, only Bisto Best Gravy will do. Made with real meat juices for that authentic, rich roasted flavour.
Ah, Bisto. Your business has come this far, but now's your time to soar into the skies of spectacular with a fast, affordable Funding Circle business loan. With decisions in as little as 24 hours and a dedicated account manager, there's no waiting around. So join the thousands of businesses who have taken out a Funding Circle loan and help your business fly. Apply today at fundingcircle.com. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. T's and C's apply.
Leading Britain's conversation. LBC, The Nigel Farage Show.
Well, the Trump press conference is now getting more media coverage than the result of the midterm elections, and some of you have got some very strong views on this. Just listen to Trump's White House speech. God, how embarrassing the man is. He lives on Fantasy Island. If this was a trial, the judge would have thrown him out as being deluded. And then Jill says on Twitter, you've got to love President Trump. He's hilarious. Well, I've got another highlight for you from this press conference. Here was the president.
Should we keep this going for a little while?
Yes. Yes, I think you should keep this going.
You know what? When you get bored, would you please tell me? Seriously. Tell me. You're never bored. I don't want to, hopefully not. I don't want to overstay, but yes, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. Yemi Shelcender with PBS NewsHour. On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president.
It's such a racist
There
question.
are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans? I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
It's just full-on confrontation. And I don't know why he was there for an hour and a half doing that. He just didn't need to. But I think he just enjoys it. And I think it's like a sport, him against mainstream media. The point about the black vote is very interesting. Particularly in one or two of those southern states where I think the Democrats felt they'd win. And it is true that Trump's approval rating amongst the black voters has improved significantly over the course of this year. John is a new caller from Edinburgh. John, what did you make of the Trump results and indeed the press conference?
I think personally it's going to play into his favour massively. If you think about it,
For the past 2 years, all the Democrats have been able to do to muster any support is use identity politics and personal attacks and insults against Trump to galvanise their base. When they've been challenged on policy, all they've been able to do is look at what they call now democratic socialism, which is just socialism with another posh word in front of it. At the end of the day, what will happen next, and from what I can see happening, is the Democrats will now have this little bit of power. And now they've got this little bit of power, they'll be able to show their true colours. And if they start attacking Trump personally, which is what they'll do, they'll start going after his tax returns, they'll start going after all this Russia collusion nonsense. If they focus on that, it shows the Democrats up for exactly what they are, which is a party which doesn't have no solid policy upon which to run on, which plays into Trump's hands. If, on the other hand, they start then trying to actually come up with a way to look at making a success out of Obama's failing Obamacare, maybe your true Democrats will come out. But the majority of Democrats have bought into this democratic socialism, and it's ridiculous because it just doesn't fit with the American Constitution in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, but Bernie Sanders is a kind of a socialist, and he has attracted quite considerable support amongst some American voters, quite a lot of young ones. John, they're going to have a bit of responsibility. How obstructive do you think they're going to be towards Trump?
It depends. For me, I stand by this. They will just attack him personally. Whatever Trump tries to push through his policy, they won't really care about. They've shown that time and time again. Trump's tried multiple times to meet them in the middle with certain things. I mean, look at the Dreamers Act. 1.7 million youngsters. He was willing to give citizenship.
I know. I remember that.
What did they do? And what did they do? They just turn around and say, no, it's not enough. We want more. Even though, let's be honest, those 1.7 million would probably vote Democrat.
Yeah, no, Trump can compromise sometimes. That is true. John, thank you very much indeed for your call. On Twitter, Carmen says, I just watched it live and there was an excruciating atmosphere, very tense and hostile. I'm still trying to digest what I just saw. It was a totally extraordinary press conference. He didn't have to do it. A lot of you think it's very funny. A lot of you think it's appalling. But that's how Trump divides opinion. That's how he operates. He simply isn't going to change. Malcolm from Romford says, was that POTUS or a new stand-up on the comedy circuit? I mean, I have to say, whether I agree with the way he does it, it does make me laugh. I'm sure it makes others laugh too. Brian is a new caller from Manchester. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Nigel. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. I was trying to do a programme about the results and to say, look, if you look at history, he's really done remarkably well. But this press conference has rather taken over, hasn't it?
Yeah, the press conference before was a bit all on from the Democrats, wasn't it? Really, just really astonishing to hear them how they're all at it. But what I want to try and do is I've been following this for like 2 years in the last 2 years, so I've got a bit of knowledge. I just want to try a bit of clarify. So
go on.
Basically, I think everybody who's been following, obviously, the Trump trail and everything else, that the old palaver of, the Forbes and Kavanaugh case that was for the Supreme Court leader.
Yep.
Obviously, with people that's been watching that and obviously knew about it, that the whole thing was a hoax. But the idea of what to become of this and why he put Kavanaugh in front of the public and allowed it to go on and play the game, so to speak, was because it was one ultimate. He didn't really mind about getting the House. You can have the House, but he really wanted the top Senate. Now, when you come to the top Senate, it changes the whole game. The whole game is the upper house, and the upper house Senate has several powers on advice and consent, which are unique to it. Basically, what it is a confirmation. He has confirmation of all rights to all different departments of different
yes, I mean, to the appointments that he makes and all the rest of it. No, Brian, I mean, look, keeping control of the Senate was very, very important. Overall, Brian, would you consider this a win or a score draw?
No, it's a win.
It's a win.
Because the Supreme Court is in there. Kavanaugh's in place now.
Yep, OK. No, Brian, you make a good point. I'm going to try and get a couple more calls in. Lots of you. Bruce, another new caller from Kingston. Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening, Nigel. How are you, sir?
I am well. So, who's the big winner, Bruce?
Do you know what? I've got to say, Mr. Trump, your pal, Mr. Trump, he's done the right thing. Do you know what? He's delivered a lot of things that he said he was going to deliver.
Yes.
He actually increased the economy. He did the right thing. And do you know what? First time in a politician's life actually did something that they said they were going to do.
Isn't it amazing, Bruce? Because we're not used to that in this country, are we?
He's also a paedophile, and he touches up women openly, and I don't understand why you align yourself with them.
Oh,
because
right. Okay, Bruce.
Funny, mate. No,
Bruce.
He touched people, touched women up, and it's like, that's wrong. That's wrong, mate. We can't accept that in today's society.
Yeah,
and if you're going to align yourself with that person, you are wrong 'un.
Bruce, this is really very silly. Let's move on to Michael in Brentwood. Michael, hi.
Hi. I think it's a score draw.
Yep.
He did well keeping hold of the Senate, but now the Democrats have got the House of Representatives, one thing they can do is protect Mueller. So he can't get rid of Mueller now, because they'll protect him, they'll bring him under there, and they'll protect him, so he can't get rid of him. And that is a danger for his family, who lied about meetings, etc. They could be indicted, and that might come sooner now than it would have done when Mueller was at risk of being sacked.
So what I was told, Michael, and I don't know what you've picked up on this, is now these elections are out of the way, Mueller's special investigation will report fairly shortly, because it's been going on for a heck of a long time.
It has, but then there's always been a worry they could just get rid of him, but now they can't.
Okay.
So with that protection, and can I just say one more thing very quickly?
Go on.
Nigel, you never complained once when the Republicans blocked everything the Democrats wanted to do for 6 years. So why would it be wrong for the Democrats to do it as well?
I didn't say it would. And I understand how America works with its democratic checks and balances. I get that. All I'm saying is that if they're seen to be too obstructive based on hatred of Trump because of who he is as a person, it'll backfire on them. That's the only point I'm making. Sheila on Facebook says, I think that this press conference, he's letting everyone know he is not going to stand for these insults being thrown at him anymore. Well, I think analysis of the press conference may well go on as long as analysis of the midterm results. Love him or hate him, there's only one Donald Trump. You've been listening to The Nigel Farage Show. I'm back tomorrow night at 6. At 10